to men who are cheating. So if you don't want, or if the answer to cheating is actually polygamy.
Yes.
But there are questions around also cheating that she speaks about, whether or not the discovered affair,
Yes.
that discovered affair, its impact, does that impact of that relationship make the other relationship laba bahetishweyo stronger, or does it make them weak? So
Yes.
those are some of the consequences, because we never think of it in that way. We always think about the fact that Auban is is a
Yes.
cheat and all of
Yes.
that jazz, but we never think about
The
that.
impact.
Could that be the end of the relationship now, and the beginning of another one, or
Yes.
could that be also the resuscitation of the relationship that
course.
existed? In the sense that now if you are honest about it, you'll be able to talk about what made, or what is it that we
Yes.
can do better, so that
Of
we
course.
don't get back to this situation.
No, that's so true. But that is so true. And we're also talking about, internalizing it, blaming
Yeah,
yourself
yeah,
and so
yeah.
forth. Because I think there's lots of aspects that come out when there's infidelity, in a relationship. And we kicked off the double play just after we posed our topic of discussion on relationships. We started off with Glenn Lewis, Fall Again, and this was the song that Mrs. Madubela walked down the aisle playing in the background.
yeah,
And Uput Lester was crying.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
I don't know. Look, I think anyone who's ever been married, I mean, not Tabane, if he was here, that moment, there's something special about that moment when the bride comes in.
Yes.
It's a moment like no other. I mean, you have been with this person for quite some time, but for some
There's
reason,
a defining
that
moment.
Yeah, that moment is always different,
Yes.
and it's not even a question for me when a question of expectation or what, and it's just emotions just take over. It's not like you're thinking I'm doing this or whatever. For me, that was not it.
Yeah.
It was just the emotions of the moment, and then when you are already now outside of that, you begin to think about what it means for you,
Yes.
because look, and I think most people do, relationships, when you start it and ngolavidavi and all of that, they are quite different than when they are moments. I'm sure, I mean, it's like giving birth to a child. That's another moment. It's an elevation,
It is.
of of a bond that was there, but this bond now is taking another shape. I don't know. Those are some of the milestones, really,
Yes.
that sometimes we take for granted, but they mean quite a lot.
No, definitely. Well, Kamnakandia's experience, maybe one day. I don't know if it's in the books. Yeah. But I'm sure I'll be one of those brides as it gets like, hi guys.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah. But anyway, so the topic that we posed on our listeners was, would you be in a polygamous marriage? And I gave a background on why I came up with that question. And me personally, okay, no one has responded. Probably they're scared. Maybe they want it. Maybe, they're in the closet about it. Bafuna ka, bekosho if bayifuna manyanyani. So, but me personally, I wouldn't. Reason being, I wouldn't say I've got jealousy issues. I just don't like to share. I just don't. And some of us got insatiable appetites. So I wouldn't want to be in a polygamous a marriage. And I remember I was at a funeral, not at a wedding, beginning of this year. And I did see Omusa from a distance. And yeah, he's quite a tall fellow. But I was actually analyzing now that, okay, so lo mntu usinobusuka up, like now that's my thinking that, okay, so njengoba lapha with the one wife, so noba ngoku nje bemshiya apho uzohamba uhlala nomnye, and also how do you divide time ukuthi uzobapi, for how long, I think there's too many nitty-gritties that are quite sticky for my liking that come with that type of setup.
Yeah, I think also maybe the other thing, which I think competition.
Yes,
there's probably
yes.
a lot of competition that happens. Questions asked: Why you banumtengele indwetile?
Jealousy.
Or why you spending more time with so and so and all of that jazz. And also, I think the other thing, guys, which I think becomes clear, is that
Yes.
you have to have money. I mean, to be able
No,
to
of course, you can't. You can't be an ordinary citizen.
Yeah, you can't be.
You can't. Because imagine, grocery households is a 4, and it's not just one person, Paya.
Yeah.
Let's say average, you've got 2 or 3 kids.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of finances that come, financial
I wonder
responsibility.
if the kids issue also does matter. I mean, does it go according to whether or not the other by having 2 kids, or 3 or whatever? I wonder. I mean, if also that is not a source of competition.
No,
in such,
I think definitely there is competition. I believe in all aspects of
that setup.
Number one, uyapangela upangeli. If you're pangela, what you're contributing, and then also how many kids, like lendia bandwana, because I assume one of the reasons to be in a to want to have as a man a polygamous marriage is to have as many kids as you can, so that your name can Yeah. So I think
you leave a name.
Yes, a legacy, and you've got kids that are going to continue your legacy. So I think, because obviously in this day and time, most people are working. You can't be having like 6 kids. I think there's a lot. And also when it comes to the women that are in that polygamous marriage, how well receiving are they of someone that is new to this so-called big family of theirs? Are they going to welcome you? Are they that welcoming? Okanye xa bebona ingathi the husband is interested komnye more than omnye. How do you solve that? Because obviously those things, they do come up at some point or the other.
Also, I mean, kids can be also seen as
a weapon
in terms of leverage and legacy of the will. Because if I have 1 kid, I stand less to gain in the
of course
because of so some could actually go on. Because but I've got more kids, and therefore means I have a bigger cake into the it's
unnecessary
really
wars, like we
Yeah.
see in the Zulu royal family currently, because I think those fights are a result of such setups. But anyway, we are going to close this topic, and we'll have another interesting topic on relationships next week. For now, we're going to go into the current affairs, stories that made news.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay, so the Minister of Higher Education, or Minister Blade Nzimande, has placed UNISA under administration and gazetted his decision. And currently, Professor, I stand to be corrected on the pronunciation of the name, it's Iron Rensburg, who was supposed to have started on Friday, and it takes over the role, powers, and functions and duties of the council and university management for 24 months.
Which one? UNISA?
UNISA, yes.
So that is not happening now.
No, it has been placed under administration, and it's been gazetted.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I mean, there was a moratorium. I mean, there was an interdiction. Was it not an interdiction? But I think the guys did win in court, where the minister was asked not to interfere. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm not sure in between what happened. I didn't fully follow that story, but I do remember that they did win that, that interdict that week, but somehow, subsequently now there has been this decision that has been made. So yeah, it's interesting.
I wonder what it
times.
means for. When we get ACTA here next week. Also,
Yes, I
maybe,
think so. What it
what it
means.
means, therefore, to be, under
And administration for a university, because we are so used to seeing municipalities and departments,
and also we know that what it means in terms of being under administration. That
yes.
everything that you do has to go via whoever it is.
Yes.
It's like when the companies go through
liquidation.
Liquidation.
Yes.
Then there's nothing that happens without this person who's then put in charge.
Yes. So that is the sad state of affairs there at UNISA. And then the Supreme Court of Appeal has granted Nandi Pamagodumana leave to appeal the High Court decision that dismissed her application to have her arrest and deportation from Tanzania declared unlawful and set aside. So I'm not sure if this is a start of her being free or not. I'm not sure. But Mos, how these appeals go. You get given this appeal and then you always go back to square one. So I'm not sure because, if you're deported, from a country that you're not even supposed to be in.
No, they leave to appeal. I don't know why, but usually when they give you the leave to appeal, they think that maybe you have prospects of winning the case, or even sometimes, even though but they don't have something to hold you to actually not grant it to you. So we'll see when she moves up how the argument is going to be in the next phase, the Supreme Court.
No, definitely. And then some sort of good news. The Public Works and Infrastructure Department is on a drive. This is the national department. It's on the drive to repair and replace dozens of bridges in rural areas in the Eastern Cape, where we see bridges being swept away by, water, excessive water from heavy rains and so forth. And then you see kids drowning because they're trying to get to school. Then they have to walk across river streams. So hopefully that will be accelerated and tender processes will be looked into because that's where, we know, get a bit, tricky. So, And then another, it's just been caught most of the time past week. This week. So a court ruling has set in motion big changes for parental leave in South Africa. So the sections of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act have been ruled unconstitutional. And under the interim conditions, parents of natural birth will be able to determine how the 4 months of leave is rolled out, and removing the forced caregiver roles pushed on mothers and fathers. So I'm not sure. I'm a bit in the dark with this one in terms of the 4 months, how you take it, and
as the men now
both mothers and fathers.
Why? Mothers already have. We know this 4 months.
Yes.
So why would we extend that? I think
I'm not sure.
And I think also, part of it though, in some, and this is part of the debate, in some companies, they don't have that provision to pay. That's why then they go to, and I think in government, there's not that issue though. Government pays.
You get paid your full salary.
Wow.
I know.
Nandi, well, government. Private is actually
different.
Different, big time.
I know. I was talking to my partner, I think it was on Wednesday, and he was telling me that there's also the paternity days have been extended to 10 from 3 days.
It's 10 now.
So, and I asked him, why didn't you take your 3 days, number one? Because he didn't take his 3 days. So, but there's no prospect of him taking 10 days anytime soon or in the future.
But also, I think the other thing is that sometimes you have people who are actually really ethically or hard workers, who just won't take take things easily like that. they want to work,
Yes.
unlike some scaramangas who are tomorrow are not going to go to work. They're going to put fake doctor's leave, doctor's certificate. I mean, you
Yes.
know what? There's a funny story. There's once a guy who put in a fake doctor's certificate.
Yes.
So, and this guy puts in this fake doctor certificate. Okay, when I checked, okay, the name of the doctor and the doctor that is actually is a man. This is the doctor is a gynecologist.
Aibo. Okay.
And I asked him, if do you know this by gynecologist?
Yes.
He answered, he doesn't even know what a gynecologist does.
I mean,
but I think this is really a sad thing, though, because I know HR also deal with issues of absenteeism. And we know that in the country that is a problem. So,
yes, it is.
So some of these guys, they literally buy them. Or people who work at this particular doctor's, they steal these things.
Yeah, the doctor's
and then,
notes.
Yeah, then they write off for people. And
As
then
if now it's
yeah,
a doctor.
and then they bring these things in. So it's so unfortunate that you find a lot of that.
Just because you're a doctor, you don't even check what type of a doctor is. Is it?
He didn't know that this was a. And I had to phone the doctor. I don't see men. The only time
Is when they're a couple.
Yeah, is up and then umetem is going on maternity.
Yes.
And so
or was it for a scan or something?
Yeah, and then I write for for a daughter. That's
for
the
that
only
paternity leave. Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't deal.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I know there are doctors that are bad from certain organizations.
Yeah.
Not for their employees not to use them because they're being investigated or they are.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
but also,
they're infamous
another
for
one.
certain practices. Yeah.
Yeah, another one is a situation where, for instance, this doctor used to work at Cecilia Makiwan.
Yes.
So what then happens is that she no longer works there, but her signature is, for some reason, people were using.
Oh my goodness.
That signature is, so 150 is a lot of money for a doctor certificate.
No, of course.
Fake one.
Of course.
It's a lot of money.
Imagine if you see maybe 10 people, that's
10 people
1.5.
So in Ngom, so if 10 people come to you and for a fake doctor certificate,
or even 300,
abanye
abantu.
Yeah, even for a proper one. I mean,
Yes.
the doctor will just some doctors, they won't even see you. They just sign or leave
Because bayakwazi.
fever, whatever.
Yes.
So it's terrible.
No, it is terrible. It is terrible. And then coup president, remember there was that situation in the mine. Yes. So he did speak to the workers, the miners there. So they are supposed to be returning to work in soon. So I was trying to follow that story, but it's just too heavy for me. I mean, apparently there's they tried to send down a paramedic and a security guard, and then they held them hostage. And there's so many gory stories that were coming out of that situation. But hopefully they have heeded to the calls of the AMCO president, and they will follow suit and return to work. And then the IEC, the Independent Electoral Commission, did launch the general elections, campaign. So they're saying that it's all systems go. It's all systems go for the 2024 general elections, despite the election date not yet, being declared. So basically, bareti ke bacho. And I remember I was listening to one of the, I think their spokesperson, if it wasn't the president of the IEC or the CEO, I'm not sure, but yeah. They were saying that they are really pushing for the youth to go and register so that they are able to vote next year. So I'm not sure how they're going to attract the youth, because the youth has their own way of thinking. They don't think like we do. You know. So I'm not sure, but hopefully they do have strategies on how they're going to attract, the youth the youth into registering. And they've had the advantages, the disadvantages, what role do they play as the youth in the, So I don't know, hopefully.
Yeah, look, I think also, I mean, it boils down to the question or the idea that young people these days, they question a lot.
They do.
So they don't just put their signature or
On
vote
anything.
on anything without asking the question why.
Yeah.
And then after you've answered the why, then there's going to be another why,
Yes.
and so forth. But I
Yes.
also, I mean, think that in line with what we've heard in terms of the census as well,
Yes.
we are now 62 million South Africans. I don't know. I hope that 62 is outside of the does it include also foreigners who live amongst us or just South Africans?
That is the thing. That is the thing.
Because I know that, I mean, they were saying 62. I mean, the president was saying 62 million South Africans who are now, sort of supporting the Springboks and all of that. So all of those dynamics, they speak to the fact that there's therefore an additional number of people who have not been registered, the youth, and who are now eligible to make that vote. I think they were saying about, in terms of youth, there's about what? This number, is it 12 or so million people that have now, not been registered. So there's quite a lot of work for the IEC to do now leading up to next year's elections. And people actually attending those registration dates that will be put out. Also, I think what was interesting is the fact that we are now knowing that we're waiting on the president to actually set up the date.
That's correct.
Also, there's been a lot of discussions around teachers. Some people are saying teachers must stop being the primary, employees of this process of the elections. Seeing that, there's a lot of people who are unemployed in the country at the moment. So it's going to be, I think there's a lot of work that the IEC needs to do in preparation for the elections and dealing with some of the difficulties that we have in the country as well.
Yeah, hopefully they've made provision for that, because sometimes you can say it's all systems go, but you haven't covered, your bases.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then the case against the owners of Enyobeni resumed in East London this week.
Oh, yeah.
And the owner did apologize to the parents and families of the children who died,
But
in that
who
incident.
was she blaming? She was blaming something. I mean, I think there was something that she said. I don't know who she was blaming in terms of what I heard during the week.
Yeah.
But I think, that...
There's also a statement that they made that E-Tavern is not a crash or something. But there's quite some... Yeah.
But I think also on the same vein, when I spoke, maybe something similar to that, I was surprised this week to actually see that the pens down that we normally have a problem with, that apparently it's not. I thought that this was an East London issue or Eastern Cape issue. I mean, I saw some people already, parents in the Western Cape, also in Khayelitsha, and then they were talking about this and trying to prevent this thing. And for me, every time I hear this, guys, and to everyone who's listening, I think it's something that as a society we need to take it up and deal with it, because it pains me. The scenes we are seeing and all of these things, it's black kids.
That's the thing, Bodi.
It's
That's the
black
thing.
kids who do these things. We don't see white kids in these videos and pictures.
No, we don't, unless they are isolated incidences. But we don't most of the time see it. I know that, was it last week or the week before last, there were kids from Eseskolo, Selapa, the old friends.
Yeah.
They were seen bephethe ibhoto yotywala, and I think they were apprehended by the police, bayaboxelwa and so forth. And you wonder, like, do you entirely blame the parents? Like, where is that this unruliness coming from?
Also, I mean, the idea of drinking in front of old people. I mean, I know in the olden days, young people of our time, if you were drinking, you hide. You
Ulester is
even
drinking.
You're smoking, you don't.
Yes, you don't. You
didn't
don't.
smoke in
Even
front of
ngokusomdala. I mean,
Yeah.
I never used to drink in
Yeah,
front
I
of my
mean,
mom. There's times come back, you I can't do pumisa. You don't like. I would hide. I would go even like I would always volunteer to go and buy a bag.
Yeah,
And then I know banan fakenti ami frizeni and I know akazovula pa buvulile. I'll deal with it then. But so pa bry area and it's now ngokundi adult like in my 30s. You know, but you get kids like abantwana besikolo, like, you know, so-called Model C kids. I I remember, I'm not sure who I was with. I think I was with my friends and sasibheke one of the establishments by the beachfront.
Yeah.
And you'd see bananga bantwana aba, and they're in full force. They're going out to restaurants and, you know, bayithatha le mali, and you
it's
wonder,
just not
okay,
right.
abantwana ozungamnika umntana i-allowance when you can afford to. But now how do you control the spending of this money? You know, because even the way they're dressed, hey, it's kind of inappropriate. You're not saying
Yeah.
don't let a child
No,
be a
no,
child,
no,
but there's certain
yeah.
things that, like mna, I know
Very much
my
inappropriate.
dad. Mna, I remember like during this time, kule ibhayiwe impahla zesam okanye ziyalibhayiwe, and then
yeah.
we're gonna go on a family holiday. But xa sibuya phaa ezaa zinto bene zinxiba eDurban, ndicinge nje uzinxiba here. My dad was like, you are not going to go out like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So also
definitely. Yeah.
And those things, they used to annoy you. You think that your parents don't love you. But now in hindsight, you know, this is what they were preventing.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
so it's I don't know,
terrible.
black kids, please, you know, wake up
terrible.
because you're
I think
destroying yourself.
It's something we'll have a discussion around this, because I know that there are people who are already building campaigns around stopping that thing.
Yes.
And we maybe need to get those people into the studio, you know, to actually speak to that.
Yeah. Okay, and then where we? Okay. All right, another scary one. It's been uncovered that 85% of the South African Air Force fleet is out of action, which leaves the country vulnerable to security threats. So we don't have fighter jets. Is it grounded?
Okay, we do, I'm not even worried about it at the moment. I think the one thing about you know, which is always a problem around, and the trust also
Yes.
in the system as far as government is concerned,
Yes.
is making an example in 2020. What did these guys do? The Air Force
Yes.
ordered wrong. You remember they ordered
Yes,
vaccines.
yes,
2021
yes,
or something.
yes.
221 million that was
Yes,
spent.
I remember.
You know, so with that type of
Errors.
management, you know, you would, and I think in general the whole country suffers from that. The lack of maintenance of what we have. And everything that we have, it's so unfortunate to even say this, is that we've let it go to ruin, and we are now fixing Princess in the Eastern Cape. The mayor, we thank her for the work of cleaning up, but we've let it for too long.
Yes,
you know,
we have.
and we now. Look at Pretoria, the issue of water there, and how was that system led to fail for so much, such that now people have to actually wait and queue for water because the trucks are going to come and bring water. So we've let everything. So is load shedding one of those things. So yeah, it just speaks to that type of mentality that we need to fight now, and be up to date on the things that we actually not let these things go to ruins.
Yes.
As it were. Yeah.
It's like as a factories, as it should see, where when there was that coup,
Yeah.
and they let them, you know, go into ruins, and all of a sudden they want to revive that industry, you know. So yeah, it's quite sad. And then the Deputy Reserve Bank Governor Kuben Naidu has resigned, and he has worked for the bank for a decade, and is a member of its monetary policy committee. So his resignation is being considered by the president, and a new appointment will be made in due course. So yes, and then
Yeah. Oh, okay. You got another
And
one,
then,
the last one.
okay, the second last one. The Home Affairs has registered its first Nika certificate. So you ask, what is a Nika certificate or what is a Nika? So a Nika is a traditional wedding ceremony under Sharia or Islamic law. So Muslim marriages have previously have not been recognized in
Recognized.
South Africa. So now they are, yeah.
Yeah, that caused a lot of problem because Muslim women were not able or were unable to claim then when their husband has passed. They are Jews
Yes.
and all of that.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's
yes.
great for them.
Yeah, no, it is. And then the president speaks up for a family meeting tomorrow. So we don't know Ukmanu Zotini. However, yeah, the Springboks are coming back on Tuesday. Maybe it's in line with that. And then last but not least, Israel has further intensified its attacks on Gaza, warning its war on Hamas would be a long and difficult as calls mounted to end the violence, and the Red Cross warned of intolerable suffering. And then the United Nations said thousands more victims could die in Gaza as Israel announced the war had entered a second stage, with ground forces still operating inside Hamas-run territory for more than 24 hours after entering it on Friday. So Israel is not backing down, basically. So yeah.
It's
And
tough.
no, it's tough, but it's tough. And I've stopped watching those videos where they are recovering people from under the rubble. Some
Especially
are
the
still.
kids. For me,
Yo,
those
nam.
are heart wrenching.
No, those are very heart
Yes,
wrenching.
Abanduana, I mean, you see
Chini.
kids, and I don't know why we keep seeing these, I mean, kids dead. I mean, I really...
I was like so heartbroken. Actually, I was working and then I come across in one of the statuses and I just switched off and I just held my baby. I was like, oh my gosh, no.
it's really
And then looking at this guy from
Matthew
Friends,
Perry,
yes,
yeah.
apparently died in a bathtub. So I know
At 54,
at 54, there were reports that he was struggling with alcohol and other substance abuse at some point, but seemingly he had tried to clean up. And he made a comment when they were doing a reboot of Friends. I think the reboot was last year or early this year.
Yeah, I think last year.
Last year, and was saying that he doesn't recall most of the stuff, when they were filming. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
So, it's just sad when you see the stars that we kind of idolized back in the days, just taking their own lives, or die in very questionable circumstances. Yeah, so basically, yes, that is a wrap from the news from the stories that made news this past week. Yeah, is anything that...
Yeah, I think also, I mean, did we touch, or we did touch on cricket?
Yes, we did
winning.
touch on cricket.
So,
yes.
so we guys, I mean, that's all we have for now. We will let's just go. I'm sure many of you can't wait to listen to some good music.
Yeah,
and,
we're gonna
we'll-
go into music.
We'll see what's on the papers